Working Class Beer Reviews is looking at Genesee Cream Ale. Sorry about the bad lighting. It's getting darker out now, so I don't really have a good setup. I'll eventually be working on that, and I'll eventually work on a better camera, maybe a little microphone setup, something like that. So we're just going to have to make do with what I have for right now. My name is Caleb. Some people know me as a Jeeping Foodie on Instagram. I don't really post anything about my beer reviews on Instagram, but that's where some people know me from. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, thank you and welcome. Genesee Cream Ale, the Genesee Brewing Company, it says was established in 1878, it looks like. Maybe 1876. Why don't we look here? Got some information pulled up. The cream ale was actually made in 1960. It was introduced. Genesee Brewing Company in Rochester, New York. See a little history on the beer brand itself. (1878). Yep, there we go. So, yeah, but it says that the actual brand here was made in 1878, 1960 for this brand. Sorry about that delay, guys. They actually have a cream ale website for this beer alone. So it's apparently one of their more popular brands. What is cream ale made from? The main ingredients include water, yeast, hops, corn, and malt. They come right out with it. The barley malt's probably a 6-row barley malt. I know before on their old website or older version of their website, the corn said actually used yellow corn grits, and most American adjunct lagers for their barley use 6-row malt. And in comparison for craft beer, people even like Samuel Adams, they use a 2-row barley malt. It's a little higher end, a little nicer, probably imported. 6-row is probably what's native to the United States, possibly. It's a lot cheaper. But different flavor, it's different quality overall, and all. This is a 24-ounce can. I bought this at Wood's Supermarket for $1.59. It was on sale. At one point in time, I was able to get these cans for 89 cents. Crazy. That's probably the cheapest I've ever seen a beer. And it's like, I've had it before. I'm just going to go ahead and disclose it. And I've always enjoyed this. But I've never done a review. 5.2% alcohol, 162 calories, and 16 grams of carbs. So it's not a light beer. And those values are based off of a 12-ounce serving. This is like a Q&A page here. Is cream ale vegan? Yes, it is. Is cream ale gluten-free? We do not produce a gluten-free beer, and we do not test the level of gluten in our cream ale. So if it's got barley malt, it's going to have gluten. I mean, I know that there's like those omission brands that do a gluten-free beer. There's some process they can extract the gluten out of, but those are also pretty expensive. This is very much working class. This is going to fit the bill for this channel. I've got a few different Genesee beers that I picked up in these 24-ounce cans, just because they're very inexpensive, and like I said, they're decent quality. So I've got one of my little stubby mugs here. It's kind of barrel shaped and all, and there's, crack it open, nice hiss. As always, I'm going to go ahead and try to church key the can, let it vent. One of the people I follow on YouTube is Louisiana Beer Reviews, Ronald J. Terrio. I challenge you to church key a can for a video review. I'd like to see you do that and see if you can tell a difference or not. And honestly, this isn't one of those highly speculative beers where you're just going to have all these subtle nuances or anything like that. So a lot of people are going to drink this straight out of the can. If you vent the can, it actually makes better for drinking straight out of the can too, because there's a lot less gurgle and glug. But it's also good for pouring. So I poured it fairly aggressively. The head dissipated pretty quickly. Actually kind of sad about that. I kind of hoped it'd stick around a little more. What is a cream ale? Well, I'm going to set this down. I'm going to go back to my tablet here. I'm going to back up. And it says, our story. Smooth like a lager, crisp like an ale. Okay, that I don't agree with because usually lagers are crisp. That's their main deal. So I would say, to me, I would say smooth like an ale, crisp like a lager. But maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's pretty much just like a hybrid. It's either a lager brewed with ale yeast, or it's an ale brewed with lager yeast. It's one of the two. It's like a combination of that. The process is different, and the yeast is different than normal. Kind of like a Kolsch. Kolsch is a lager brewed with ale yeast in Germany. Cologne, Germany, something like that. So the cream ale was one of the first beer styles created in America, and ours has been the style standard since Genesee first brewed it in 1960. Genesee Cream Ale has won numerous awards throughout the years and remains just as smooth and flavorful, as it's always been. It's a true American original. And you will see other craft companies make a cream ale. So it's kind of we'll get into that. So what do we got here? It's a golden color. It's dark. I'm sorry. I know. My setup is just pitiful here. But I'm looking at here, and it is a dark, like a stronger gold color. Probably closer to what you get with like a Mickey's or something like that. So if you're a fan of Mickey's, Old English 800, the color is going to match this. 5.2 is just a little over Budweiser. Budweiser's 5%, Coors is 5%. That's kind of what I consider the standard benchmark alcohol by volume for an American lager is 5%. So this is just a tad stronger. This would be kind of like Michelob is like 5.1. So this is around like Michelob. Let's give it a smell. It's sweet. It's just a touch sweet. It's not like super sweet or anything. It doesn't smell like dessert or anything like that. Got a little on that one. Yeah, it just smells like bread, like a regular white sandwich bread almost is what it smells like. That bread dough-ish. So let's move on to the flavor here. Okay, so it is light, but it's lingering. Yeah, it's lingering in the palate, on the tongue. So that's where the ale aspect of it comes from. So yeah, it's not crisp like a lager. So maybe their description is accurate. Yeah, it's kind of lingers around a little more like you would if you're drinking a light ale of some sort. Yeah, 5.2 is, that's nothing crazy, nothing outrageous, pretty normal. I mean, obviously you still want to be careful. You don't want to go crazy or anything like that. But I've seen Genesee brand beers for 30 packs in my area, but not very often. It's typically just these 24-ounce cans. And another thing is, it's not actually distributed by a beer company in my area here in Central Missouri. It's delivered by one of the liquor companies, either Major Brands or Glazers delivers Genesee. And I find that kind of odd, but I guess they do some of the other beers from the northeast area of the United States, there towards New York and all that stuff. We have still yet to get Yingling in our area. Starting to see it down south, so maybe it's creeping its way up. But Genesee, as a company, they do some contract brewing. Years ago, if you ever noticed when you were at Walgreens, in their beer area, they had one called Big Flats. That was brewed at the Genesee Brewery Company, and it was very cheap. A lot of people dog on it. I actually didn't mind it. I wish I could find it again in order to do a review, but I don't think they produce it anymore in this area. They do the Dundee's Honey Brown Lager, which my wife and I both enjoy that one. That's a great beer. That's produced there at the Genesee Brewery. I don't know if that's a Genesee brand or if that's something they contract brewed. Have to wait to get into that if I ever find that, if I pick up one of those to do a review. So yeah, is it good? Yeah, it's great, actually. I like these stubby mugs. What do you think of these little stubby mugs? Nice square handle on it. It retains temperature really well too. You know, some people put them in the freezer. That's personal choice. They say if you freeze your mugs and pour your beer, it's actually going to cause it to foam more. So if you're not much of a person that likes foam, then maybe you shouldn't freeze your mugs. You should probably rinse them out real good before you go pour it in here. But like I was saying earlier, this isn't necessarily a beer that you have to pour into a glass to enjoy. It was probably designed just to be enjoyed out of the can or bottle. Genesee used to have little stubby bottles, and they had a neat logo. This is actually the updated logo for the Cream Ale. And they used to have a real cool throwback label that matched the rest of their product line. And I actually enjoyed it more, but it doesn't really take away from the product. That's more of an aesthetic appearance thing. So I'm going to pour a little more. Maybe if I give another little aggressive pour. Feels a little thin head, but it's not sticking around. That's kind of a bummer. That could be my glass. I don't know. Maybe I should try again with a nice polished glass. But anyway, definitely working class. Definitely something you can enjoy. And honestly, if you shared it with someone else, they'll probably enjoy it too. There's nothing foul about this. It's not strong. I've shared this with my father and, you know, any friends that come around. Especially when these cans were 89 cents. You know, they were a lot. I would keep them around and share them with people. You know, you could take one and split it between another person if you wanted to. 24-ounce can. Goes good probably with any food. Like any, you know, to me, something, since it's a little richer, something like a pot roast maybe. Potatoes, carrots, celery, all the, you know, the gravy. That would go good with this. Some toast to wipe it up. Oh yeah, I think you know where I'm going with this. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to help me look at this beer. And hopefully, if you haven't tried it, if you see it, give it a shot. I think you'll really enjoy it, especially for the price point. If it's cheap in your area, I know it is for me, but I can't speak for everybody else. And if you have had it, let me know in the comments what you think of it. And I appreciate you being here for me. And I will see you guys later.